It is 14 minutes past 8. Now, a man who was subjected to conversion therapy at a church in Sheffield back in 2014 says he's finally found closure after an independent investigation upheld every aspect of his complaint against the church where the incident happened. Mstt Drapper said he suffered long-term trauma after undergoing a form of exorcism that sought to rid him of his homosexual inclinations at St Thomas Philadelphia Church. It took Matthew 5 years to pluck up the courage to report what had happened to the Diocese of Sheffield, and it was a further 5 years before the report by Bernardo's charity was published. The Diocese of Sheffield says it deeply regrets the process has taken so long and believes, along with the wider Church of England, that conversion therapy is unethical, potentially harmful, and has no place in the modern world. I asked Matthew whether he now feels able to close this chapter of his life.
Yes, surprisingly for me, it felt after the reports came out, it was like night and day, really, and I just felt like everything was kind of completed that I needed to do. That sense of needing to kind of reveal what was happening and things like that was done, and that just meant I could kind of rest, which has been really nice.
You said it was a surprise. Obviously, you have pushed for this. You've wanted this, but it sounds like even though you were compelled and you really needed your to be listened to and for your experience to be acknowledged, it's kind of it's a shock that it's actually had the impact that it's had.
Yeah, I think it felt like after kind of 5 years of constant battle and constant struggle to get these kind of facts brought out so people would be able to make their own choices and what they thought about the results, to have them actually published and available for people to read, and for the church to say and admit it was real what happened, and that it was wrong, and also that to say they were sorry that it happened, just meant that I felt relaxed and relieved.
Because, of course, this took a decade. It was 5 years for you to report what had happened to you, to the Diocese of Sheffield. And then, obviously, 5 years before that complaint was upheld, an entire decade. Did you, at any point in that period, think, this is never going to happen?
Exactly. I never thought that we would get to the point where it would be published. Because I had the results myself in November of last year, and then it took up till July for them to publish them. So I had read that my complaint was upheld, and every point of my complaint was upheld, and that had kind of completely validated everything that I've been saying. And then I wasn't allowed to talk about that publicly until the actual reports were published, and then at different times they said they weren't going to publish them, and they said they were. So to actually get to the end of that, it just felt like the end of such a crazy journey, and I kind of was able to just kind of wake up now and I'm able to just go about my day and do the normal things that I just need to do, rather than waking up and thinking, right, what do I need to do next to get these facts published and get these things out. So that's really nice.
So, I mean, it sounds like you sound relaxed, you sound relieved. That kind of millstone that's been around your neck for so long has been removed. However, such a long time you've lived with this. I wonder, perhaps you don't want to reflect on it, actually, about the toll that it may have taken on you.
Yeah, I mean, the damage is still there. I'm working with a psychologist now to kind of go through the events and to kind of allow myself to heal from them. But what's changed for me is just that sense of urgency and that sense of necessity to fight is just gone. And I didn't expect it to just go, but I think having somebody say what you experienced was real and what you experienced was wrong, and we're sorry that it happened to you, is just, it makes such a big difference.
And I wonder as well, you said that you knew that your complaint had been upheld months before it was actually published. The Diocese of Sheffield says that any survivors of or those with information about misconduct in church or church-related abuse must always feel free to come forward knowing that they will be listened to in confidence. I wonder, that the fact that this has been published, and you mentioned earlier that people can now read it, how confident are you that in general, I suppose, victims of abuse within the church will feel confident to come forward? And I suppose maybe specifically how big an impact actually your story having been brought into public view might have made a difference.
Well, hopefully people can look at the kind of my journey and see that that you can get to an end, and that it can actually kind of come full circle to a point where you do feel like it's completed. Because I know the Church of England, it can be very difficult when people report, then the actual kind of getting an independent investigation can be really, really difficult process. But for me, it's been worth doing because I have got to this point at the end of it. And I think what the people who really need to be looking at this and making changes are the Church of England itself, who needs to be saying these independent investigations do have such a good impact on the mental health of the survivors. So we need to be putting in a system to get those done a lot faster and to make them happen kind of as an automatic process.
Where are you with your faith now? Because you grew up in a deeply religious household, and I know when you first joined the church, you were quite excited about it. Is there any faith left? Would you describe yourself as a Christian now?
No, I think it's taken quite a lot of years for me to acknowledge that it's kind of gone from me, and I'm kind of at peace with that now. But I think faith is such a, it's a fluid thing in your life as well. Like, it comes and it goes. So it may be that I find another aspect of faith or another way to engage with Christianity or kind of hope in at other times. But for now, that whole feeling of kind of wanting to be in church or wanting to be around kind of Christian theology and things has just gone, unfortunately.
And I wonder if you've ever reflected on this. Had you been at a church which was welcoming and accepting of your sexuality, do you think your answer to that question about your faith now in 2024 would be different?
Yeah, I think so. My faith was growing and growing at the time. I was kind of falling more and more in love with the Bible and with like church teaching and with kind of the patterns of the year of the church, Easter and Christmas and things like that. So I think that was really, really growing at the time, but then it all kind of got cut short, and then being unable to engage with it properly or having kind of it be quite triggering meant that I kind of didn't engage with it, and then it kind of one day it just kind of faded away to a point where I didn't feel that connection anymore. But but as I say, faith does change over time, so things may grow in a different direction or in no direction, and I've made my peace with that really now.
And what are you up to now?
So I'm working on a few things now, some more kind of writing projects, and I've been working on a play about LGBT history based on the lives of people who lived before World War I. So that's a really good project. We're doing a play about that, which hopefully I'm going to take on tour maybe next year. So there's lots of things going on, and I'm engaging with the local Pride community and things like that. So I kind of have been able to rebuild that faith community in a different space, and just doing that with LGBT people and pride spaces instead.
I'm really, really pleased that we're able to have this conversation, Matthew, after having spoken to you so many times over the years, and unfortunately at different points where we weren't able to talk like this. So thank you very much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you for supporting me through it all, through the different times and the different parts of it. So yeah, I really appreciate it. It's good to be back and be happy.
That was Mstt Drapper, who experienced conversion therapy at a church in Sheffield. The Diocese of Sheffield says they've recognised how difficult it is for victims and survivors to come forward, and urge anyone affected by this to contact their safeguarding team at sheffield.anglican.org/support/safeguarding, where concerns will be heard in confidence.